What happens when a woman refuses to play by the rules about wealth, power, and marriage? Today we're exploring how What a Way to Go uses outrageous glamour and satire to reveal something striking about women's agency in the chase for the American dream. The film stars Shirley MacLaine as Louisa, whose simple desire for love instead brings her four wealthy husbands Dick Van Dyke, Paul Newman, Robert Mitchum, and Gene Kelly, each meeting tragic ends driven by their obsession with success. But this isn't just another comedy about a gold digger or a black widow. The entire premise subverts traditional Hollywood storytelling by centering on a woman who actively doesn't want wealth, which flies directly in opposition to what most people would consider common sense. In an era when women were still fighting for basic financial independence, Louisa's rejection of fortune becomes a radical statement about what actually matters. The film was originally written for Marilyn Monroe, who approved the script in 1962 under the title I Love Louisa. After her death, that August, Shirley MacLaine took over the role. Some see the film as an unintentional tribute to Monroe, with Louisa's glamorous prison of wealth echoing Monroe's own struggles with fame and loneliness. The film's camp aesthetic is essential to understanding its feminist subversion. Susan Sontag's seminal 1964 essay, Notes on Camp, defined camp as embracing artifice, exaggeration, and frivolity. What a Way to Go embodies this perfectly through its excessive visual splendor. Edith had designed 72 costumes for MacLaine alone, with a $500,000 budget and a $3.5 million gem collection loaned by Harry Winston, had later confirmed the costumes were intentionally exaggerated to mock fashion excess, with each outfit reflecting Louisa's status at different wealth stages. The more glamorous and absurd the costume, the more trapped Louisa became. This over-the-top aesthetic isn't just window dressing. Camp operates through irony and distance, allowing audiences to examine serious themes through exaggerated performance. Each of Louisa's marriages is presented as a parody of different film genres. Director J. Lee Thompson confirmed this was deliberate. Edgar Hopper's story satirizes French New Wave bohemia, Larry Flint's segment parodies rural Americana melodrama, Pinky Benson's chapter mocks big MGM musicals, and Rod Anderson's story critiques Cold War capitalist excess. The lush budget sequence with Robert Mitchum, featuring Head's spectacular fashion show where MacLaine changes gowns every few seconds, transforms conspicuous consumption into satirical spectacle. The message is clear. This is what patriarchal success looks like, and it's absurd. What makes Louisa truly subversive is her consistency. Inspired by Henry David Thoreau's writings, she desires a simple life throughout the film. Screenwriters Betty Comden and Adolph Green confirmed they designed Louisa as a woman who only wanted love and peace, deliberately contrasting her with the culture of excess in 1960s America. The irony that she keeps gaining wealth while losing happiness was intentional social satire. Her mother pushes her to marry rich Leonard Crawley, but Louisa chooses poor Edgar Hopper instead. When Edgar's humiliation drives him to build a business empire that kills him, Louisa's curse begins not because she's evil, but because her love becomes the catalyst for masculine self-destruction. Each husband loses himself to greed, transforming from the men she loved into slaves of ambition. It's a darkly comic reversal. Instead of women sacrificing themselves for men's dreams, men destroy themselves chasing dreams that Louisa never wanted. The film's genius lies in how each husband's demise reflects the American dream's different facets. Some film theorists argue that each husband represents a stage of capitalist ambition: the artist corrupted by commercialization, the worker turned industrial magnate, the entertainer consumed by fame culture, and the billionaire who believes wealth buys control. Dick Van Dyke's Edgar transforms his humble store into an empire, literally working himself to death in the process. Paul Newman's Larry, a starving Parisian artist, invents a machine that turns sound into paintings. His mechanical success literally beats him to death with his own crane inventions. Robert Mitchum's Rod Anderson is already a billionaire tycoon, but Louisa's attempt to give him a simple farm life ends when an intoxicated Rod tries to milk a bull and gets kicked through a barn wall. Finally, Gene Kelly's Pinky goes from anonymous clown to Hollywood megastar whose fans trample him at his premiere. Each death becomes more absurd, more excessive, more camp, yet each reveals the same truth: masculine ambition is inherently self-destructive. What the film brilliantly exposes is that these men don't die because of Louisa. They die because they can't accept contentment. In a patriarchal system that equates manhood with conquest and accumulation, simply being loved isn't enough. The film's treatment of wealth as curse rather than prize challenges 1960s gender expectations. While women's magazines promoted consumer culture and domestic perfection, Louisa literally tries to give away her fortune. When the IRS thinks it's a joke, she seeks psychiatric help. This framing device is itself satirical. Society pathologizes Louisa's rejection of materialism while treating male greed as natural. The film asks us to consider who's really insane. Many feminist critics interpret the film as satire on how women's emotional labor fuels men's success, only for men to be destroyed when ambition takes over. Louisa's string of tragic marriages becomes symbolic of how capitalism and male ego destroy romantic ideals. While the filmmakers never explicitly stated this intention, modern audiences and scholars embrace this reading. MacLaine's performance anchors this campy critique with surprising emotional depth. She displays a chameleon-like quality, transforming from innocent young girl to sophisticated widow, proving she can be anything the role demands. This versatility mirrors the film's central tension. Louisa remains herself while everyone around her changes. She's both the straight woman to the film's absurdity and its emotional core. In her hands, camp becomes not just aesthetic excess, but a survival strategy, a way to process grief and guilt through performance and spectacle. The film's ending reinforces its feminist message. After her psychiatrist proposes marriage, Louisa refuses, which the film declares is progress in her recovery. Her real happiness comes from reuniting with original love, Leonard Crawley, now a humble janitor who credits Thoreau for his contentment. When they almost strike oil, the reveal that Leonard actually punctured a pipeline becomes the film's final joke. They're still poor, still happy. Love without ambition is the only marriage that survives. Released the same year as Sontag's essay What a Way to Go, represents peak 1960s camp, a moment when excess could critique the very culture producing it. The film premiered at the 1964 New York World's Fair, with stars riding a chandelier-decorated subway car embodying the playful spectacle it celebrated. So was Louisa's rejection of wealth really madness, or was it the sanest response to a world where success means death? This is Ladies First, watching women in movies. Here, we empower women by reviewing and discussing films that highlight their stories, struggles, and achievements. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.